I know it's weird, isn't it?
Not figuratively speaking.
Okay, it says that we are live. You know what? I have to put comments on here so that I can see them.
Oh.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, it says we're live. Hi, everyone. I'm Angie. This is Natalie and Julie. We're so excited to bring Julie on live, and we're using new technology to do this. And it's kind of funny because it's inverted, so we don't know how to center ourselves in our screen. This will be a fun.
That should have been today's topic. How to center yourself.
Right?
That's a great topic.
That would have been fitting. That would have been fitting. We'll probably talk about that. But yeah, if you've been here before, we love you. Welcome back. We're really happy to have you here with us live. If you're just tuning into us, I'm Angie. I'm the host of this group, owner of Journey to Soul. I'm an intuitive spiritual coach and an EFT tapping practitioner. And I just love bringing women together in community and sharing our wisdom, because we all have such beautiful innate wisdom. And I love sharing our tools and talking about energy and talking about all things unity. And I'll let Natalie introduce herself, and then Julie. Yeah, and then we'll get chatting.
Hey guys. Okay, I'm gonna have to constantly readdress myself. So my name is Natalie, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to be using StreamYard and have Julie with us too. So I am a homeschool consultant. And so I help, I help parents with their homeschool, make sure that they're, I just noticed you can see my son in the background. That's awesome. So I really put a focus on making learning fun. And I'm actually launching more of a nature-based curriculum. So there's an in-person component, but I also decided, what the heck, and throw a virtual component in it.
I just saw that, Natalie. Yeah, I literally just saw that when we were getting set up. Very cool.
So bringing nature online. Why not? So that's me.
So hello everyone, I'm Julie, and I don't often introduce myself, but I am a wellness coach and a lover of all things conscious. And love. I am just someone who lives my life through consciously loving everything. That is what I try to do. So yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Julie very much spreads love. Thank you. So forgive us, guys. This is our first time using StreamYard. So it's funny. Okay, so I'm going to let everybody know that in the Facebook group, there's a link in there. If you want us to be able to see your comments, your name with your comments, I need you to click that link to give permission to StreamYard. Otherwise, we will just see it as Facebook user. Can you guys see it too, Natalie?
I can, yeah. Someone said good morning, Angie.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, whoever that is.
And I think it might be Shannon. Yeah, it's Shannon. Hi, Shannon. You know what else is weird, guys? So I have my laptop on to look at the Facebook comments, but it's writing down everything we say.
Oh, captioning. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I have my Facebook on as well to see, and I don't see comments on here, but now I see it here where it just says Facebook user at 11:01. Yeah. Hello, Facebook user at 11:01.
Yeah, I think that's Shannon. Shannon's new in the group. I love Shannon. She's my Epicare person and my hypnosis practitioner. We're working through some weight release hypnosis. So I'm really excited to have her here too. All right, so today's topic, I'm so thrown off right now. Okay, so today's topic, we were going to talk about karma, and we weren't going to deep dive into karma. I thought it would be really fun to look at what are the different perspectives of karma that we have as a society, as a collective, and what is our mindset around it? Because our mindset totally matters in our household, right? We set a tone with our mindset in the household. And so if we're looking at karma as punishment, which is a very common way of looking at karma, that people that don't understand karma think of it as a punishment, right? This is how we're sort of conditioned to believe it. It's like, oh, karma's going to come back and bite you in the ass. And if you're looking at it that way, when you're struggling is there an unconscious belief happening that this is karma, that you're being punished by the universe? And so I wanted to share just quickly. I like to look at the Buddhist teachings, right? I'm not centered my screen. I'm throwing me off. Okay, there. Um, I like to look at the Buddhist teachings and why. So Buddhist teachings really teach us to lean into struggle, lean into challenge, because everything, the way they look at karma is everything that happens in our life is a karmic result of something you have done. And it's not as a punishment. That's where the misconception comes in. It's that it's a punishment, but it's actually a moment to teach you to open your heart, because you didn't choose that before. You didn't choose that in the other. It doesn't even matter what the other scenario was, but you didn't choose to open your heart. And the way forward, the way to your evolution, the way to enlightenment, to awakening, whatever ascension, right, is to open your heart.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think about how have you ever looked, how have you looked at karma in your life?
Well, it's funny. I haven't looked at karma too much. Like I haven't focused on the word karma. But that is also how I was introduced to karma, was, people are going to get their karma, it'll come back to them. And it was kind of a way of being able to release actually the need to have a revenge or be angry at someone because they're just going to get their karma, right?
Yeah, justice.
Exactly. So, I mean, that was kind of my first introduction to it. And now when I think of karma, I think of it, as you describe it, that everything we are putting out is going to amplify and come back to us. So that, I guess, unconsciously, when I choose to focus on love, it is having to do with karma, because I know that's what's going to come back to me as well.
Oh.
So that's kind of how I focus on it now, because the way I say it always is, what we're sending, we're going to receive. Right? So not necessarily
Absolutely.
using the word karma, but using the example of what it is meant to be.
Yeah. I see a few comments here. Good morning. Good morning. We can't see who you are. If you want us to see who you are, you have to click the link in the description of the post. Yeah, so that to give permission to StreamYard. But I see here, my card is the karma card, the 6 of clubs. I'm a 4 of clubs. I don't know what the 6 of clubs is. Balance. Oh, there, balance. Karma is also my niece's name. So lighter energy association. Cool. What about you, Natalie? What do you think about karma?
Yeah, so previously I kind of saw karma, especially like from a mom point of view, as you know how so often people will say, especially as our kids are getting older, oh, they're just going to wind up just like you, or all this stuff that, sometimes your parents are like, oh yeah, like all the stuff that you put me through when you were a teenager, like get ready, kind of all that stuff. That's what I used to associate it with. Perhaps I didn't put the word karma, perhaps I didn't use that word necessarily, but just like, oh, your kid, you got a crappy relationship with your kid. Well, you asked for it, right? Because of blah, 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 blah. So I think perhaps a lot of parents have that, right? And maybe they don't even label it as karma per se, but maybe just worrying, right? Like, oh, like, when I was 15, I was doing this and this and that. And, my kid's going to wind up like me. All these labels and assumptions, right? And these are not healthy assumptions to carry around with us. So I agree with Julie how now I look at more of it more as, opportunities or lessons, because it's kind of like twofold, right? Like what you truly feel inside is going to be reflected to you out in the world. That's why they say you can't fake this stuff, right? If you're genuinely happy and, just respectful of life and having fun, then that's just automatically going to shine out. But if you're trying to fake it, well, you can't fake out the universe, kids. Sorry.
Energy doesn't lie. Energy doesn't lie.
So there's that of, how we truly feel and behave within ourselves is reflected to us. And also how we, just our point of view, right? Are you looking at it as karma or punishment or, oh, well, I knew this was going to happen, although all these kind of labels or wordings, are you looking at that way? Or are you looking at it like, okay, this is life, this is the universe, this is God showing me through life what I need to work on in this moment.
Yes, it's exactly. That's why I wanted to bring this, because language matters. So what language are you repeating? That you're being punished? That you put your parent through whatever you put your parent through? And then are you taking on that story that they're telling you, like, oh, well, you were difficult at that age.
Yeah.
And so now you're getting punished through your child that they're difficult at that age. We get to break that dynamic. That's really big.
Yeah. And it all starts with your belief. If you believe you're going to be punished for being a crappy teenager, then you are going to be punished because that's your belief, right? But if you believe that you've let go of everything and the past just doesn't exist, like we can rewrite yesterday, guys, just in how we feel and believe right now, because it's all that matters, right?
And choose. I can feel it burning from Julie right now. Like, choose. Choice. That's what choice. We get choice.
You're so right. Like, my head just keeps saying to me, it's the mirror. It's the concept of the mirror, right? When we see that mirror in front of us, like our children and our significant others are, some of our closest and clearest mirrors for us. And that is exactly it. When we see that mirror, it's time to choose. Yes. Are we going to choose the same, or are we going to choose something different? We can't change the mirrors outside of us. We can't change what anyone else is going to think, say, or do. We can only change our own actions. And that is coming back to karma, with our children, or so. When we see behaviors in them that make us feel uncomfortable and make us think, oh, that's our karma coming back on us. Now we have a choice to choose. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And karma keeps us in that idea of karma as punishment. It keeps us in victim mentality.
Yes. We have no choice. It's
just choice.
Yeah, it's just the way it's meant to be, because I'm getting my karma or they're getting their karma.
Yes. This is my fate. I have to live this out now.
Yes.
No, the mirror is not punishment. The mirror is an opportunity. It is always a teaching moment. And that's what Buddhists teach too. It's a teaching moment for you to open your heart.
Yes.
It's a teaching moment for you to realize that there was a time, there was something that you've done where you didn't open your heart. You chose to close it, to guard it more. And this is just an opportunity to open it. Open. Yes, me too. Oh, I love this conversation.
Absolutely.
Reminder. I'm just seeing a comment. Reminder that what you put out returns, and lessons recycled in many forms. Energy, yes.
Exactly. And we have a choice to change that in the moment when we realize it.
Yes.
And it's also bringing me to the concept of loving our inner child. Like, it's giving us that opportunity to then understand our child and reunite in a loving way with our child. Choose an action that loves ourselves and in turn loves our children, for mirroring that for us, for giving us the opportunity of choice and giving us the opportunity to choose love.
Yes. Can you reframe it? And that's the invitation, I think, this week, is to reframe. Notice when you might be considering it a punishment, and choose, because the moment you have awareness, and I know we've talked about this a lot in these conversations, is literally, guys, once you have the awareness, that's it. You have choice in that moment right there. With awareness comes your ability to choose. You're no longer a victim in that moment.
Yes. And that is becoming conscious, right? We're
is it.
Conscious in the moment, and then we have a choice, and that is our personal power. Yeah. That is where it lies. Mm-hmm.
I'm like feeling that.
I have one of my Louise Hay cards, and I meant to grab it before to show you, and it's I don't remember exactly the wording, but it's basically, you know, what we give is what we will receive. And sometimes, you know, we've given things when it comes to karma that come back to us, and, you know, it's like, ooh, I don't really want to receive this right now. So that is our choice.
That's a
is
choice.
our personal power. Exactly. We can choose.
Yeah, and you can
differently in
choose.
each
You
moment.
can choose not to face it in that moment, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Can you accept that it'll return? Just like I don't know who it was that commented this, but that reminder, right? That recycled in many forms. Lessons won't come back to us. Like these teachings, these opportunities, they won't come back to us in exactly the same way that we had it.
I love the markers.
That's hilarious. And they won't come back to us in the exact same way. We're literally seeing this in the world right now, guys. Like what's going on in the world, although it seems new, we've never dealt with it. Collectively, this is actually a lesson that has come to us many times before as a collective, and we didn't necessarily choose love those times.
Yes.
Collectively. And this, so you know, macro and micro, it's the same, as within so without. Whatever is in your cup is what spills out.
Yes.
So is your cup filled with love? Is your cup filled with gratitude and love and joy? Is that what it's filled with? Or is it filled with resentment, shame, guilt, rage, anger?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what you're showing.
Yeah. Which comes back to assumptions that we carry within ourselves, right? Or the stories that we carry within ourselves. Like, let's just say, I don't know, let's just say your partner sighs a lot. Personal example. You know, they're just, and they go, oh. And then, so what do you associate with that sound, right? You're probably like, oh, they're either like irritated or frustrated or something. But instead, tell yourself, every time I hear this person sigh, it just means that, oh, you know, like they're appreciating the view out the window, or they're just soaking in this moment. And just keep telling yourself that, and then eventually that assumption is just going to get programmed in your brain, because we're essentially like walking, talking mama computers here, guys. And we can change the meaning, like we can change our assumptions, right? Yeah, we can change our assumptions about anything.
I love that, Natalie. Like I'm literally in my heart feeling like the reaction, the assumptions that I make of those sounds that you're saying, I do that a lot with my daughter, and you just woke up a certain part of that journey with my daughter I'm having.
Yeah.
Is to change that assumption.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just in a moment of appreciation, right? And appreciation can be for the tough stuff too.
Yeah. Because we always label what other people do, whether it's a sigh or the way they react to a situation. That's just our point of view. It's not actually, like, you could have 10 people in the room looking at this, you know, this child or whatever. Maybe some see misbehaving, maybe some people see showing off, maybe some people see, I mean, who knows, right? But it's just your individual point of view, and your point of view is just reflecting what you have inside. So maybe you're uncomfortable with, you know, your partner or your child like sighing all the time. Well, just recognize that, like, oh, this is so irritating. And again, there you go, right? And then you have the choice to just, again, change, like, tell your brain when they sigh or when they do whatever, it actually means this, because you've been telling yourself that it means something negative.
That's
all
what's
these
coming
years,
to
without
me.
you noticing, because
We
you were
create.
unconscious of it. You were not aware of it. But now when we can do this of, oh, this sigh means that they're having such a great day right now, that they're really appreciating this moment. So just constantly keep telling yourself that. You're changing your assumptions, and then you're also changing your point of view, which just, it's going to lighten everything, right?
Yeah, that's
It
huge. That's
really
been a huge lesson for me, is not creating meaning.
it brings up for me, Angie, you may know the permission rose. So, and keeping our energy where we would like it, not taking on other people's energy. Again, like with our children, for example, having a temper tantrum, we can choose to decide that they are misbehaving and they're acting out and it has something to do with us, when really it doesn't. It has to do with what's going on with them internally. And it also reminds me of the idea of punishment. We need to punish our children, rather than helping them walk through these challenging emotions. And it's not always easy, especially if you're an empath, which I know so many people are, to not take on these emotions as our own and become overwhelmed with them. I've recently learned a new technique instead of protecting my energy, because that gives the assumption that something is coming to attack me, right? And I need to protect myself from it.
So,
Instead, putting a permission rose on the outside of my aura and only permitting the energy of, love, light, whatever I choose within my energy field. And the rest stays without to serve the highest good. So in saying that, when we are so close to someone, it's so challenging not to take on their energies. I think of my partner and my children. But again, like you're saying, we have a choice. We can choose to reframe it. We can choose to keep our energy separate from that and come from a space of love instead of a space of being attacked or,
yes.
being challenged by them. We can choose.
Yes.
We always have a choice.
And needing to protect, feel into that, guys. Like, just feel into needing to protect yourself from your most loved people in your household. Like, this is yeah, Julie and I have talked about this a lot. This idea of protecting yourself can also get you into a trap of a negative mindset, because we don't need to protect ourselves. All we need to do is put more love out. The more love you put out, then you create the protection by putting love out. Love is the protection.
It's that karma coming back, right?
It is.
That is our
And
protection.
somebody wrote that here. I believe what you share into this world will come back to you. And absolutely, it comes back amplified.
Yes.
Julie mentioned that. And if you put out positivity, you will have positive results. Yes. But you have to choose it. You have to choose it.
So can I briefly just say, someone said here, permission rose, I love it. So I'm also learning we can use this permission rose. So we can set it on outside of our aura. It goes just outside of our aura, to, again, allow in, permit what we choose, and keep out what we don't want. We can also use this permission rose to clear out stuck energy in our chakras and in our aura. So it's like a vortex. So we can take it in and it's almost like a vacuum, like it can suck it all up. But then I just want you to know to take this permission rose, put it outside of your aura and pop it. Because if we allow it to stay inside our aura and it pops inside our aura or our chakras, we can become physically ill until it releases from us. So we want to be conscious of putting it outside of our aura and then popping it out there. Yeah, some really cool.
I haven't talked to you about that. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot in the quantum coaching, and it's very, very cool.
That's super
One more
cool.
thing that I'll just add, if anyone wants to utilize these techniques, you can also take your grounding cord. So do the visualization with your grounding cord, and it comes up, and the energy coming from 5D Mother Earth fills up our root chakra and then spills over, and a grounding cord from there goes back into the earth. Okay, so if you can imagine that you've grounded into the earth, all the love and support, motherly love from 5D Earth is coming up into our root chakra. It's pouring over, and there is a grounding cord going back into the earth so we can cycle this, energy between us. But then you can take that grounding cord or a piece of it and suck up any pictures, which could be like triggers or so on and so forth, in your aura or in your chakras. right? And suck that out of your energy like a vacuum. And it's a beautiful, very powerful visualization technique. So I
Very
was just
cool.
inspired to share.
I like this visual of sucking it up, like being able to, like, this is how much power we have. We
Mhm.
truly have power over our energy. We don't know that. Our energy has been stolen from us for so long. Like, it's, you know, and we unknowingly give it. It's unconscious.
Yes.
We give that power away, right? We're not a victim. That's what we're learning.
And there are so many techniques that, you know, we don't consciously know yet, but they're coming into the forefront of our mind. Energy techniques that we can use that are so simple yet so powerful. You know, it doesn't have to be, we don't have to spend a lifetime trying to clear out these, you know, triggers or challenges in our life. We can use these techniques, and they are pretty quick and fairly simple, and they will have dramatic changes on our energy, on our life, right? Because we're creative energy.
Yeah. You know, something I wanted to dive into a little about karma, especially as moms, that we learned things from our parents. So, Natalie, you touched on it in the beginning. What are those things that our parents have, you know, perpetuated for us? Like, what are those karmic loops that we keep falling into? Like, one of them is like, oh, wait till she's a teenager, because you were, you know, you were a tough teenager. So before our child's even a teenager, we're already creating with our thoughts
Yeah.
that dynamic.
I just love that you're bringing that up, because that is something, you know, as you know, Angie, I've wanted to be a mother since I was born, pretty much.
Yeah.
You may also know about me. I was an extremely challenging teenager. I come from 5 kids, and I just always remember my parents saying they thought they had it tough with my brother Rashay until I came along. So
that's a story right there. That story right there.
Exactly. So I remember, like, you know, always wanting to be a parent, but I would always put in there that, you know, I wish my kids could go, like, zip through the teenage years, like go from, you know, this age to adulthood, so I wouldn't have to deal with that. And yeah, I completely created that story. That was going to be my karma coming back. You know, you're going to get it back when, you know, when they become teenagers, and so on and so forth. And, you know, as I became more of a conscious person, I realized, first of all, how, you know, sad and horrible would it be to miss out on all those years? How sad would it be to not be able to support my children through those challenges that I had? I'm getting teary just thinking about it. I'm getting goosebumps, because, you know, those were the times I needed so much love and support and guidance that I wasn't able to receive, you know, through no fault of my parents. You know, our parents, they do the best they can with what they have, and they always give us, you know, what they can. They didn't have the knowledge and information I was seeking. And now, when it comes to choice, I have a choice to now choose and figure out how to be that support and that love for my children through these experiences. So it's such a different mindset, you know, choosing a different mindset than, you know, oh, this is going to be the worst. And, you know, I don't even want to go through those years, to, oh, I'm so excited to be able to love and support my children the best I can through those tough experiences. You know, I'm looking forward to, you know, teenage years. They're 10 and 12 right now, and I'm so excited to have that open communication and love with them through these years, rather than, you know, having my karma come back on me and dreading what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, sorry. My son Grayson says he's 10 and a quarter. So I needed to correct that age for him.
Awesome.
Sorry, Grayson.
He's right here.
Thanks for clarifying, Grayson. Yeah, no, I love what you're saying. I love everything that everybody's saying, especially when it comes to, I mean, there's this thing with adolescence, right? Where we're automatically labeling it as bad, as the troublemaker years. Well, is it any wonder that, right, that if we think
create
that,
it.
yeah, we are
Right.
creating it ourselves and
Perpetuating it.
just in the collective. But the fact that now we are aware of this, because the first step, guys, is always awareness. I'm gonna have a
Yes.
T-shirt that says that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Clothing line. But so be aware of that. And then, as Julie is pointing out, we have choice. We can choose to look at it from a completely different perspective of, wow, like I get to share these years
Yes.
with my child, right? And I get to support them however they need to be supported.
I get
right?
to hold
Because
them. I
my
get to hold
idea of
space.
my idea of what they may need is obviously not what they need, because it's what I think they need, right? It's what I
Yeah.
probably needed when I was a teenager. So again, just trying to always be present and not to worry. I mean, if you have a 10-year-old, who cares what's going to happen when they're 15? That doesn't
Right.
exist yet,
Yeah.
right? So just this whole mindset change can do so much, because first of all, it's clearing out generational trauma,
Yes.
right? It's clearing out all these old stories that are still swimming around the collective. And honestly, it doesn't really matter what's swimming around in the collective, because if you don't look at it, it doesn't exist in your world. Okay?
And it falls
If you
away. It
just-
naturally dissolves.
It does. It just, yeah. So focus. So instead of trying to ignore all the let's say the bad rap that adolescents have, instead of ignoring it, focus on just being excited and looking forward to the teenage years, right? And just be grateful that you get to share these years, however many years it is, with this person, with this human, because they're not, I mean, I know we say our children, my child, your child, but they're not like a piece of clothing, guys. It's not like you purchased them. It's they came into your life to share whatever it is that they needed to share, and that you're sharing whatever you need to share. So when and it doesn't, this is getting deep, but it doesn't take that much. Like Julie, you mentioned earlier when you were discussing your technique, that it's simple. Like we don't need to spend years and years and years clearing thousands of generations of generational trauma, because that belief that's been taught to us, even in spiritual and consciousness circles, is a bunch of bullshit, because it's tied into victimhood. All this is tied into victimhood. You want to clear generational trauma for the last 20 generations? Okay, do it right now. Right now. Have the belief that you already cleared it. And holy crap, I'm feeling this right now. There we go. It's done.
Me too. I'm getting
it's done.
We are creating our world. So again, instead of trying not to think of the bad stuff, or not to think of the scary stuff or the worrying, instead of putting all this energy to ignore all this stuff, put that exact same energy in just, again, being grateful for, I mean, when you're hanging out with your 13-year-old, just being grateful that, like, thank you for this conversation. Or, maybe maybe they found like this weird fact online, or they want to share a video with you, or they found a really funny joke, even if it's like super lame and not your sense of humor. Just to be like, wow, thank you. And just appreciate that moment. It doesn't matter what happened 5 minutes ago.
No.
It doesn't matter what's going to happen 5 hours from now or 5 decades from now. What's going on right now?
Yes. That's the only moment we have. The mind, if you're starting to think about 15, you're starting to think about what happened last week, the story, that's the mind, guys. That's the mind. The mind will never lead you forward in your evolution. It'll never do that. What will is the heart. I'm seeing a lot of comments. I'm an empath and recently started helping my son when he's having a meltdown, or talking to him, letting him know that we are going to move on to an activity, but he's on a tablet and wants to stay. So I set a timer. Julie taught me timers and explain, and his meltdowns are getting, I can't see the rest of that. I don't know if there is any more. I assume that they're getting better.
Better. Yeah, because then it goes on to the next comment. It says better.
Oh, that's what the better is. Okay. Yeah, that's
that is
really
beautiful. That
very beautiful.
I love timers, and that's another thing too. Giving our children, respect. When I grew up, it was always, you respect me because I'm the parent. And I always think of, when my children were even toddlers, like just grabbing them around and, like, okay, it's time to go. So get your stuff on and let's do this without giving them any notice or warning. That can definitely cause huge meltdowns. They are a human being who have their own ideas of what they want to do.
Yes.
Right. So if we're just like whipping them around here and there without giving them any notice or, any say in what they want to do as well, as Angie said, I absolutely love timers. And that was a way that I could always respect my children and their time, and also give them some freedom to choose for themselves. Like I can say, I'm going to put a 5-minute timer on. Is that enough? And if they're like, no, I want more time, I want 10 minutes. And then I could be like, okay, how about 8 minutes, and we just kind of decide together what's best. So I love that. That is beautiful. I do timers for everything, and that's a huge one now. Like we do timers for electronic time, big in our house. So it's always like, okay, you have this much time. Is that enough? And, they'll always say at the end, can I finish my game? And I'll say, okay, if it's 2 minutes, I'll put a 2-minute timer on, and that's your time to finish. And it's really giving them autonomy over their own life as well.
Yeah. And we have sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, and it's so much more peaceful. And there's some other things I wanted to go back to, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, we have an opportunity, like at that moment, to give them, like giving them choice is a really big deal. So the timer thing works great for me at bedtime. Like, I like if they're on their electronics and you just suddenly decide out of the blue, in their world, they're fully into what they're doing. And you just suddenly decide, okay, electronics is over now. They're going to have a meltdown.
Yeah. What if someone walked into us right now and said, you know what, your time's done.
You know what, guys? You guys are done.
Out.
You guys are done. Out now. No time to end. Like, we would be up in arms, right?
Yes.
And they are human. I love what Natalie said before about they're not here for us only. They're not here for us only. They're here for humanity too. Right? And you got to let them have their experiences in humanity. And that's the challenge of parenting through consciousness, right? As we become more aware. But yeah, like at nighttime, I do that. They'll be on electronics. I usually like to get them off an hour before, but sometimes they're on right before bedtime. And I'll be like, okay, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to continue playing. And I'm going to put a timer on. And now when the timer goes off, I don't get a big fight anymore. I don't get a meltdown. I don't get, everyone's happier. So much more peaceful. It's such a great technique.
It is.
And
sorry. Go ahead, Natalie.
Yeah, just super quick. I was just going to mention all these things that we're talking about timers and not dragging our kids around like, okay, we're going to the grocery store, we're going to grandma's or whatever without notice. Children really live in the present moment. We just don't recognize it. We say, oh, they're so focused or they're so zoned in or whatever, but they're just in the present moment. And I realize that the more and more that I go deeper within myself, I recognize that within my own children when they're coloring or they're playing with Legos and you ask them a question or you, like they're in the zone. Bloody hell. Try to get the camera angle.
I know.
They're in the zone and then we are, distracting them or all this stuff, and maybe it's innocent. It's like, oh, what do you want for lunch? And then they're not answering. And it's like, can you answer me? Like, what do you want for lunch?
Yes.
I asked you 5 times. They are in the moment, but they're so intensely in the moment. I mean, we can learn a lot from these kids, man. They put blinders on, they're focused on their videos, or they're focused on their coloring or whatever it is that they're doing. They're in the moment. So we need to respect that. Sometimes what I do is I'll go and I'll sit next to them or stand next to them, kind of more in their eyesight and be like, can I ask you a question? And then if they're not answering, that's okay. We are not in a rush for life, guys. Just go back in the kitchen, finish the dishes in 15 minutes. Ask about, go again and be like, is now a good time to ask you about lunch? There you go. Or maybe you don't even have to go back the second time. Maybe they did kind of hear you a little, but again, they're
And
so
they'll
focused on
come.
playing with their Legos or whatever. They'll come to you and be like, you know, can you make me grilled cheese? Right? So just recognize that they're not that they're in that present moment so intensely, which is good. We want to encourage that, right? We want to respect, and we encourage that by respecting it, right? So these timers, having more gentle approaches to asking about the grilled cheese sandwiches,
Not
can go a
making
really long way.
meaning. Not making meaning is coming up. Like, we don't have to make meaning out of them not answering us.
Yes.
Especially not answering us right away. This is something I notice, like when my husband and I are parenting, like he makes a meaning out of it. And I'll say to him, like, you know, sometimes we don't answer. Like, how many times have I not answered them because I'm so into something I'm doing?
Right.
And I don't answer them, and they get like, Mom, I've been calling you for like 5 times and I didn't hear them. They're human just like us. They are human just like us.
Absolutely. I just lost my thought. It came and then it went. Oh, that's what I was going to say. That is something I absolutely have loved about working with children is their presence, their mindfulness. You know, they've taught me so much about being in the moment and enjoying the moment. I think that's why I've always loved working with children, because it is so present and it can just teach us so much and help us to get out of our head, right? And, you know, when you were talking about the asking about lunch, you know, and you can ask respectfully, and they may not hear you because they're in the present moment, and you can choose to walk away and come and ask again later. And you can also choose that if they're not answering you, that you make whatever you want. And then you're like, oh, well, I did ask you, you know, and you were so busy that you didn't respond. So this is what I chose to make you today. There was one more thing that I wanted to bring up back to, oh, and it's slipping out of my mind again. So I'll bring it up when I think about it.
It's presence, though. They teach us presence. It's true. Like these guys, like, and we make it wrong. We've been conditioned to believe it's wrong to be the way they are. And guys, we're moving through an evolution and ascension. Where we are learning, we are meant to go back to that state. That is our original state. Yes. And it has been labeled as wrong. Okay, I mean, there's a whole industry around that.
Right, exactly. It's you know, as we know, the world is programming us to be enslaved, you know? And yeah, exactly. It's being able to be conscious and recognize these programmings so we can release them and become more mindful in the present moment and choose from a place of love, you know, who we are, what we want to be. I mean, that's something I had this past week has been more challenging for me. And, you know, I've had extremely low energy and I'm like, oh, what's going on? Like I can barely brush my teeth or get out of bed. You know, in the past, I would start slipping down into depression and cycle down lower and lower and guilt myself. I no longer guilt myself. I know that I'm moving through a shift. I'm moving through a transition, that this is okay. Time to rest is okay. Oh my gosh, and I lost my thought again. Where are all my thoughts going, ladies? But yeah, I totally just lost my thought. 100%. It's just gone. I'm like, where was I going with that story? But maybe it's because this other thought keeps coming into my head that I want to share. So I wanted to go back to the whole teenage years and the karma coming back on us. And the idea of our fragmented selves. So the idea of ourselves that have not been healed or that we become triggered by. And all of these teenage years with our children, you know, that we're dreading are opportunities for us to choose to love them and to love ourselves and bring ourselves back into wholeness. I think it's so many beautiful opportunities for us. And maybe that's why my other thought didn't go through, because this one really wanted to be shared.
Yeah, I read somebody said it is okay, even patience for self. Exactly. This is it. We are living it real time, right?
Yeah.
It's driving me a little bit crazy that I don't know where I was going with that.
It'll come.
It's okay. It'll come back.
Yeah.
Someone did mention in the comments. Let me see if I can scroll up. Oh, I can. So someone says the teenage years is a mirror of toddler years, full of beautiful realization of separation from parents, on a new level in connection to their own place in the collective and in society, as their bodies are under a metamorphosis. And whoever you are, thank you. If there were emojis here, it would be raining down hearts on my side, because I love how you brought up the metamorphosis. So the toddler years, and I've worked a lot with families, right? So the toddler years, that's a physical change of their stepping out of babyhood into more toddlerhood, a little bit more, their physical body's a bit more independent, right? They're changing. Same thing with when they become teenagers, right? They start puberty, they start stepping into their adult physical body. And this is evolution, man. I mean, our physical bodies and our ethereal bodies, it is always a transformation. We're always, we're like, like the caterpillar stage and then the cocoon and the butterfly. It's a continuous stage though, because we are always changing. We are always that metamorphosis, right? So I absolutely love whoever brought this up. This is really powerful. They're going through. Our children are constantly, their bodies are constantly growing, and this is something that I tend to remind families a lot, that their bodies are growing. We can see that, right? When they're growing out of their jeans, or they're when they're babies and then they wake up and they've already outgrown their pajamas. That's the physical stuff that we see, but there's also that cognitive growth, that spiritual growth that we don't see, and we don't necessarily see it within ourselves and in others. And children are just such a beautiful mirror of that, of that constant growth, that constant metamorphosis.
Yeah. And energetically, I love that, because we are always evolving energetically too, right? Because we all have our own experiences. I was just training this in my membership this week. There's a slogan. What is it called? So, of the two witnesses, hold the principal one. So, everything you do, there are two witnesses. It is outside of yourself, people, feedback from others, and inside yourself. And you are the only one that knows. Every single human is the only one that knows what's going on inside of them, including our children. Our children are the only one that knows. So as they have experiences, energetically, they are shifting constantly. Everything adjusts with every experience they have. Right? And we are too. That's us too. We're still, that doesn't end. That keeps going. I might have had a belief yesterday that completely changes from this conversation. And energetically, my output changes.
In each moment, something that I thought of as well at the same time, the teenage years coming up, bodies are changing, everything's changing. We're also learning so much about the world that we did not see before,
yes,
right?
Yes,
and
collectively we're
all
changing.
of that coming in to us can be so overwhelming. Again, if we don't know how to manage our energy, which, children nowadays are, more and more understanding of this, I think, as we're all evolving. But when I was young, I didn't know how to manage all of this stuff coming at me, being an empath, and it was just overwhelming, and I acted out in so many ways. I'm excited to be that support for my children as they understand. I love the conversations that come up between them, like things that never would have come up in my house, and if they did, they would have got shut down real fast. And pushed under the rug, for me to figure out and deal with myself, and always trying to go outside of myself to find the answers, outside of my family, because I didn't know how to find the answers. I'm so excited to be that support for my children and just give them the love and the space that they need to grow. Like, I don't have to have all the answers for them.
Yes, be gentle.
Yeah, just they have the answers for themselves.
Yes.
And, you know, that's what I can be here to let them know. You have the answers within you. And even when they were younger and they'd have questions for me, you know, if I didn't know, I was happy to let them know, you know what, I don't have the answer for this, but we can look for answers, you know, and then discern for ourselves what feels right. Because I looked for answers and I found some very troubling things. Oh, Angie disappeared. Well, we can continue. Hopefully she will be back very shortly.
Yeah, we're still here, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
there she's coming
she
back. We missed you.
It may just be her
I
internet
just like,
connection.
I just jumped off. I'm glad it didn't kick everything out though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, I'm glad we're still here since you're hosting it. Yeah.
That's good. But what you were saying, be gentle with yourselves. That's what I wanted to say. A really big message to moms out there. If you are on this call, you are conscious. You are conscious. You are making that effort. And we don't have to have all the answers for our kids because you're right. You said it. They have their answers, just like we have our answers. Mm-hmm. And if you allow them, like, remember, what goes out comes back to us, right? If you allow them to just give them the space to find their own answers, they will mirror that back to you. They will give you the space to find your answers too. We get to create that, guys.
It's amazing.
That's so beautiful.
Gift. It's a gift. It's a gift that we have to be raising our children in this different way. And our parents, like, globally, humanity was not at a consciousness level to know this. Our parents didn't know this.
Yeah. And it's okay that they didn't know, that they still don't know. It's okay that people don't understand the way you are parenting, is what's coming in right now.
Yes, it's okay. You're right.
You know how you want to parent, and you know what feels good in the way that you're parenting, and what doesn't feel so good, and that you want to choose differently, right? Yeah. We have such an amazing opportunity. Again, and like you said, you know, we're giving space to our kids to, you know, be themselves, and, you know, respecting their present moment, and that they're going to reciprocate that to us. I mean, I don't know how many times, like, just boom, out of the blue, one of my kids comes and tells me the most insightful thing. I'm just like, whoa, thank you.
Whoa.
And there's our mirror and our karma coming back on us too, right?
Yes, because it's also positive. Yes.
We've set that example.
Everything we're doing.
We've chose to embody these new ways, and it's so beautiful when our children reflect it back to us. And it just reminds me of you, Angie, mentioning the other day of Alice coming, giving you a hug and wanting to watch the videos with you. And I do remember where that thought was going. It came back to me finally. So I was talking about, you know, having a challenging time and very low energy. And it wasn't until I was on my quantum coach call and, you know, all the beautiful energy and insightful information there that made me realize I just wasn't living in the present moment. You know, I was focusing on the future. I was focusing on outcomes instead of what is making me feel good in the present moment. What is making me feel loved? What is making me feel love? And like, it was as simple as that. It was as simple as being aware to come back and choose again the present moment, because the point of power is always in the present moment, right? And I was giving my power away by looking at the future and starting to feel not enough, not good enough, because I was looking for this outcome instead of enjoying the moment and choosing love for myself in the present moment.
You know, something that's coming through that I really want to talk about is in that present moment too, right? Our children are that reflection. They're also a reflection of our younger selves, right? Like that unhealed part of us. That's the karmic thing, the karmic result too, right? Is that we have an opportunity only in the present moment. We don't have it in the future. We don't have it in the past. It is only in the present moment that we have the opportunity. And we have the opportunity when something is going whatever we label right or wrong in a situation with our child, right? We have an opportunity to see the child in us.
Yes.
Instead of them. Focus on the child in you. And if you're having a hard time giving love to your child, let's say because you're being reactive, what about the child in you? Can you give that child love?
Yes. Oh,
Like
I
can
love that.
you know, that's changing karma. Like I'm feeling that big time. Like that is like changing what happened before. You
Yes.
guarded your heart in that moment before.
And it's just bringing to me the fragmentation, the coming back to oneness and wholeness. It's giving us that opportunity. And you're reminding me again of the so-called triggers. A new terminology for that I've learned through the quantum coaching is pictures. So in stages of our lives, we put pictures within our aura or within our chakra, and as information is coming in, they filter through these pictures. So when we're being triggered, it's those pictures, those moments in time that are triggering us. And this is where we have a choice again to love. We can love ourselves through that. So again, with that grounding cord, you suck out these pictures. So you can sit, run your cosmic energy and picture your aura, expand your aura, ask for the pictures to be lit up within your aura or within your chakras, and vacuum them out, suck them out. Let 5D Mother Earth, help you to cycle these through and change them into what's the highest good for all. So, again, that is bringing us back into wholeness, and wherever we've been stunted with those pictures, as the information comes in, they don't have to filter through all of these challenges, because they will filter through and then feel huge, which is why we feel so triggered. But we can simply release those with a little bit of help, and come back into oneness instead of feeling so fragmented.
And it can be that easy. Like you're reminding me of my NLP training. Like that's what pictures makes me think of. And I've never thought of triggers this way, so it's really fascinating to me. But like when we're doing timeline therapy, you're literally floating above your timeline, and that's what happens. Pictures pop up. Pictures pop up in different time periods of your life, right? And not even your life, sometimes past lives too. And you're while you're in the womb, even pictures pop up, and all you do is put love on that picture basically, and it dissolves, it goes away, and then it's suddenly no longer even in your field. And so I love the overlap of all this stuff that we learn, right? This is why we're meant to come together, to really strengthen these lessons that we learn.
Absolutely. And the great thing is, like you said, it can be so quick and easy. Like it doesn't have to be years of reliving these experiences. We don't have to live, we don't even have to see what the picture is, right? Energetically, it's the intention behind it that shifts the energy. We don't have to look at the picture and decipher the picture and see what's in the picture and when did it happen. We don't have to do all that.
We
just
used
have to intentionally use the energy.
We used to have to do this. I think that's another thing. Is like we remember we're lightning. We're taking in more light here on the earth, like humanity. Back in the Stone Ages or the Middle Ages, it was dense. It was really dense. And so it would take multiple lifetimes to get through these things. Generations, right? And now you have to understand, guys, like let go of that old thought, let go of that old thinking, because we are shifting, and we're shifting very fast right now.
Yeah.
And that means we can also move intentionally very fast right now.
Yeah. And I just want to jump in and say one last thing that which ties into this is when we're seeing these behaviors within ourselves, when we're aware of however you want to call it, like oh, like I see this in a negative light, or, I feel this in my body, or whatever it is, tell yourself, this is a programmed response. This is not me. And then do you choose that program or not? Because maybe it's a great program. Maybe you're, like Angie, how you shared with us a few times of, when you're starting an argument with one of your daughters, your first reaction now is to hug them. So when you're in that moment, be like, oh, this is a programmed response. Everything is a programmed response, guys, whether it's negative or positive.
It's fake.
Yourself,
it's not real.
This is a programmed response. This is not me. Do I want to choose this response? Yes or no? And if it's a yes, awesome. Then drop in the present moment. And if it's a no, be like, okay, I'm releasing this, and then drop in the present moment. And I'm going to
hug my daughter.
This is literally how we are, like, changing the wires inside of our brain. And it can happen instantly because, like you said, we're bringing in more light. So things are just moving a little faster. And this is just to prepare us for this next leap in evolution, because we don't want to be, because this is all manifesting is really all it is. I mean, a lot of people label or connect manifesting to like money or relationships or whatever, but I mean, it's all this stuff. So this is all like the practice arena, because if we would instantly manifest, right? So this is practice, right? And this is us recognizing that all of our responses, it's not really you. It's not your essence. Yes. It is just a program. And it's okay that you have this programmed response, even if it pisses you off. The fact that you are pissed off about the programmed response is also a program. Don't just see that and be like,
program upon program.
This is a programmed response, or whatever kind of words you want to use that reflect you better. This is a programmed response. Do I want to choose this or not?
Yeah.
And then whatever the answer is, that's the answer. And then drop in the present moment, and there you go.
And it's okay if you choose it. It's okay if you choose it.
Yeah, the more like the knot, or like the frayed knot just untangles, and then eventually it just dissipates. One morning you're going to wake up, you're not going to have that response anymore. Yes. Because it's just not part of you anymore.
That's the journey. Like that is like that for me. Like I have all these moments where I'm like, whoa, I didn't respond. I just didn't have that feeling. It didn't come up. The trigger didn't come up. The image, the picture didn't come up. I didn't respond. And I'm always so grateful in that moment.
It's the evolution of becoming conscious. I mean, we were programmed to make unconscious choices, to go throughout our lives, doing what we're supposed to do and never looking within and consciously choosing. And that's where the huge shift is happening now. We are able to consciously choose more moments in our lives. And the more moments we consciously choose, the more of ourself shines through, the less of the masks and the programming, appear. We can release them and consciously choose who we want to be. Oh, and that was another thought that was with that last thought that disappeared from my mind, was that, again, I was looking into the future and not choosing in the present moment who I am. Who am I? That's what I needed to look at. Who am I right now? Yes, in this moment.
Yes, because you are different than what you were yesterday, even. You were different than you were years ago.
It's funny because, I through that process of having lower energy and this coming into my awareness that I wasn't choosing who I was in this present moment, I've had little, as I'm doing my walking meditations during the day, thoughts about, who I am and how I present myself to the world. And even when it came to introducing ourselves, I'm like, I don't know, who am I?
Who am I in this moment?
Right, exactly.
And we're moving away from labels, and that's interesting, because I've always been resistant to labels, and so every time I introduce myself, sometimes it's a little different each time, because that's who I am in that moment. Yes. And we need to allow people to be who they are in that moment and stop holding them to old stories that were passed down to you, old stories that they showed you, your children, just because they were this way last week. That's not who they are. Like, how they were behaving isn't even who they are, right? But
Right.
they are changing too, right? Remember this metamorphosis, right?
Right. So having those preconceived thoughts of who they are or who they're going to be in a present moment can keep us stuck in that cycle rather than choosing to be in this moment and deciding, what's going to happen for us in this moment rather than what happened in the last moment.
So this was such an amazing conversation. I actually want to continue because I feel like there's more. We only talked about teenagers, right? I also wanted to talk about like spirited children and these personalities of children that we have and the stories that exist around that. But anyway, we're coming to
I have to log off because I got another call coming up soon.
All
but
right.
we should definitely do that again with more like the spirited children.
Yes, I would love to come on and be a guest again anytime. Let me know.
I love this. I love being able to have like a panel. Like this is really awesome. This is awesome. Well, thank you everyone. There are comments. We'll respond to them throughout the day, I guess, or when we can get to them. Thank you guys for being here. We couldn't really tell who was who, but we love your comments and thank you so much for contributing your energy to this. And I love you guys. I love you all.
I love you guys too. You guys have a great Sunday.
Bye.
Thanks for having me. Love you.
Yeah, I love you. Thank you for joining us.